Court. This is the second time. I cannot bring you because you have never been before a military court.
Both.
But Oscar, except if
now
you
I'm just reminding.
Yeah, because it is Museveni. It is Museveni who summoned NRM MPs and told them you go and pass the law. Okay, Kagame. They went to Rwanda and Rwanda told them to pass it. But the one who told them was in Entebbe. Even MPs who were in Munyonyo.
The leader of NRM is also the leader of
even MPs who were in Munyonyo abandoned the committee worker to run to Entebbe.
The only issue can be if you say NRM MPs when they go to the president lose the reason. Maybe that you can.
Do they go when they have it?
Yes.
That they lose it from there. I doubt.
Them. If they didn't have a reason, you would have.
So you see, Oscar, that's the reason Museveni pursues this court. That if he has sent you there and he wants you to be in the prison for a full year, you will be there. Look at these boys of Noop. Some of them are from my constituency. Arrested November 2020. 5 years later, even the court martial that is supposed to be an alternative judicial system hasn't tried them. Not even one witness has been presented. And they are still there. I think now they are going to continue. Because the idea is that you use a military court as a political platform. If you don't like it, because look at the case of Besigye, very interesting case. He is brought because in the law they have said if they are put aiding and abetting, if you are aiding a military man, and I think they force for Besigye, they pick Captain Ora, who was in Ruzira for a different offense, and add him on Besigye to make it look like Besigye was aiding a military man. Samuel Ngora, former minister and former NRM vice chairman, Northern Uganda.
No, Samuel Ngora was never. Samuel Ngora, yes. Former chairman.
So you mean everything from me you're going to deny, even when it is true? That's how you have tuned. Is that how you have tuned yourself? Samuel Ngora, former minister, former NRM vice chairman, Northern Uganda. We have been meeting in the court martial. He has a relative there who was arrested together with Ora. They charged them for trafficking something. I don't remember the offense. This woman is in Ruzira. When we were arrested protesting, going to the Kenyan embassy, the Ingrids were taken to Ruzira. So the woman was there crying. He said, but my co-accused now has been donated to Besigye. I don't know if I will ever go to court.
Yeah, but
so
was she proving that her co-accused could have committed another?
I am telling you the circumstances. The interpretation is yours. What Museveni will be doing is to pick a corporal, and he says, Semunju, you are aiding a corporal, because the intention is not to try you. The intention is to keep you in jail. And
how come you haven't been kept there?
Even and I mean, when they are killing people, you survive. They didn't kill everybody. So you mean Museveni has prisons for all Ugandans? Ruzira itself, the capacity is 10,000. It has
yes. I want to change subject now. So.
Yeah. So let's look at the intention of the main sponsor of the bill and why he wants it, and then a number.
So your argument is create an impression that there's bail when there's actually no bail.
Actually, that's what will happen, because even when bail is granted by the
civil court,
normal court, in the case of Aran, I was in Masaka, Aran and Segirinya. The High Court judge said these are MPs, important people, they will come and report. Then they brought another judge and he said these are important people who will interfere with the investigation. So when Museveni was done, nothing changed. They just told them after 2 years and 6 months, now you can go. And they went. Because Museveni, he doesn't want to use courts for justice. He wants to use court system and the judiciary for punishing people. And to him, you are guilty until you have proven yourself innocent.
No,
so that's why he has been...
We don't use the French system.
So...
let Besigye acquit himself by giving evidence that wasn't involved.
But the government has no evidence. For 6 months, in Nakawa, they said they have filed an application to use Besigye's phone to look for evidence.
You passed that law? That we can't...
Museveni said that you people who are crying for Besigye, why don't you cry for speedy trial? For 6 months, he hasn't been tried.
But you passed that law that if we want to use information on your system, we should apply to court to obtain that information.
You are being simple. You have arrested someone, you have no evidence. Why don't you first get evidence?
Yes, you collect the evidence and you
Yes.
arrest.
No.
So you arrest and then begin looking for evidence.
No. That evidence is available, but in order to present it in the court, we need to extract formally with the court permission. Why don't you allow? Why doesn't the person say, okay, here's my phone, get the information? Why do you think you people are fearing it?
You mean I surrender my phone to Museveni? Even mine, I will hide it.
Why do you? But you see, that's why there's intelligence. What we gather intelligence, we can use it without necessarily taking you to court, but we shall achieve the end result that we would have neutralized you.
Thank you.
Often Opondo,
Yes, please.
I hope you are not supporting arrest before finding evidence. But diplomatic community complaining. Your friend Tim Kalijira is posting on X, formerly Twitter, saying that General Sale is the deputy head of state, and he got the point.
Is he not a co-president?
He got the point from the diplomatic community complaining. Though my friend Andrew Mwenda is shouting at the top of his voice, saying, why are these people complaining?
No, you see, which diplomatic community? The European, the European ones. Those are grandchildren of colonialists. They still think that Africans don't have heads to lead themselves. That's why you see they're all over the place.
No, in this particular incident, they were complaining about CDF threats.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Even Opono has complained, Opono himself.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In my previous capacity, I had issues with the diplomatic community because they still think we Africans don't have our own heads. And unfortunately, there are many Ugandans in leadership who think that those people are the only ones who are intelligent. Do we need diplomatic community to complain for us? We Ugandans should complain. If our CDF is doing things that are outside the law, outside the rules, we should complain about him ourselves. Why do you wait for some German ambassador who's here for 3 years?
So we are not
complaining.
Now,
after he has gone, what will you do? If our leaders are doing wrong things, we should complain by ourselves. I don't support that we should wait for the diplomatic community to go to General Secretary or whoever to complain about the CDF or anybody else. We should complain about him ourselves if we think he's doing the wrong things.
If you went to General Sale, would you get the same media coverage and the same response from General Sale?
If I do,
I would tell you, if you went to complain about the CDF to General Sale, would you get the same response?
Why,
or he would tell you, go and sleep?
Why do I go to General Sale to complain about the CDF? I wouldn't go because I have another platform.
Can you confirm if you can hear me? Yes, I'm loud and clear. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can hear Imperialist speaking on his phone.
Yes.
I can also hear you.
Jacob has all sorts of his. Yes. Go on.
For me, I'm saying, for them they can, but they are known meddlers. I don't want them to complain on our behalf. Let us do that complaint. Let us raise those issues ourselves. So
But Oscar,
No,
you have not helped to follow upon.
I don't support
Part
them.
of the reason they were complaining
Yes.
is that the CDF was also threatening them. So when they get
That was their bigger complaint.
yeah.
No, and that shows you that they are unserious.
That they are afraid.
Yeah, no, they are unserious. Diplomats have the channel of the protocol department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's why they should write their complaints too. Not genocide.
You say those things as you look at me with a straight
Yes,
face.
I am saying
that you want to complain about CDF in Uganda and you go to Foreign Affairs protocol desk.
Yes.
How will
Yes.
that be a complaint?
Yes. According to international standards, rules, that's where they should address their complaints too, not genocide. Otherwise, they seem to think...
I remember General Sale telling Semuju here, do you know who General Sale is? When Semuju was saying you are just General Sale.
No, they were doing their back and forth, media, but for a diplomat, I am saying for a diplomat, the rules, they should address their concerns to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs will channel if they evaluate and think that the CDF is a problem to the diplomat, to the head of state, who happens also to be the commander-in-chief of the CDF.
His father.
Let me switch off.
Commander-in-chief.
Or let me
I'm
switch off
giving you
Semoju. You
information.
speak
His
when
father.
I've invited him to speak. Jacob Beyero. Hold on.
You may not agree
Jacob.
with that I'm saying, but
I have said nothing. I have not known.
Honorable
you to say
Semoju,
nothing.
both gentlemen, your
I
microphones
have
are
not
off.
known of
Just
all of
Thank you.
It's a question to you. You know,
As a bit surprised,
Jacob, you know, I because I look younger than all, but we're in the same age bracket.
Yes.
So it could be elderly. So you heard from us elderly sending you to a desk in foreign affairs to complain.
No.
Even you wouldn't do that.
I was a bit surprised that the ambassadors chose to go to General Saleh. Yet in March of this year, the ambassador, the head of the delegation, met with General Muhoozi, and they had a very cordial meeting. The army was happy to report on it. We saw a lot of, in fact, General Muhoozi himself reported on it on his X handle. I think that for me, if the ambassadors had a problem with General Muhoozi, seeing as they have got audience with him before, I don't know the ambassadors to be people who mince their words or are scared to meet anyone in Uganda. I think they should have taken the bull by the horn and gone to General Muhoozi to say, look, we are tired of you threatening us, and say it to his face, because he would grant them the audience in his official capacity as CDF. I don't think he would deny it. But be that as it may, let's not also dismiss the elder here. The official channels also exist. Government-to-government communications also exist. How they chose to take the issue to General Saleh, I don't know. But we also can't pretend like we don't know General Saleh's influence in Uganda. He is the one that oversaw the transition of the army command to General Muhoozi. But historically, he is also one of the very revered members of the NRA, who in fact are the people that formed what we now know as the force we have professional.
And his name has been left in the
General Saleh is very respected across the board because of his conduct.
except Semoju.
No, I'm sure Semoju also respects him, except for perhaps a few business deals gone wrong. Semoju maybe did not benefit from some, and he was not happy about it. But I just want to say that in military terms and military hierarchy in Uganda, General Saleh is highly respected, and I think it would be good to continue having guidance from someone of that high rank, so that we don't always have things mastered by only the president. And in the army, who attains the rank first remains senior. It is not that because we are at the same rank, I am now equal. No, if you attained it before me, you remain senior, and I salute you. Except if you are in official command structure, that is when the command structure also determines who salutes you. So I really want to just say the European Union has a choice to go and meet General Muhoozi. I do not think they can be locked outside Dumbuya or SFC or wherever General Muhoozi sits, and they'll have a cordial conversation. Let them talk about it rather than going to General Saleh all the way to Guru. In fact, someone was asking, the ambassador has decided to travel to Guru to report a matter of that nature, or they were, but I'm sure there were also other issues of general concern. Yeah, so I would encourage them, after bringing it to the knowledge of General Saleh, let them also bring it to the knowledge of General Muhoozi, and they have a conversation.
I wonder. George Barugahare says, even when you want to be upset with OO, you have got to love him. He calls them grandchildren of colonialists. So he hopes you get to Parliament soon. Michael.
Oh, yes. Now, on the issue of diplomacy, it's a diplomatic
European community.
it's a diplomatic spot, in my opinion. One is that I watched that clip, by the way. Seeing the exchange between Andrew Mwenda and the diplomats and Paul Cole and everything. I am disappointed because one of the position the CDF holds, but then two, for General Saleh, maybe perhaps before I go to that, I should mention that this was, I think, a leaked video. And if you look at the meeting, I think it was a casual kind of meeting. And someone recorded this and leaked it. Because the EU, the ambassadors, that team of the ambassadors from the EU, basically had gone on a different mission to northern Uganda. And perhaps casually, like many of the leaders have done, they decided to have audience with General Saleh. But then why I feel sorry for General Saleh is he struggled to explain and defend.
Sorry for him?
Yes, I feel sorry for him because that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. And let's be clear on this, that the tweets General Muhoozi posts, some of them, I think, cross the line. We are his supporters. I'm his supporter. But then we need, no, not for crossing the line.
You don't
because
need to respond.
I mean, he's
his
not.
microphone is off. He's going to speak.
General Muhoozi is not perfect, but for the position he holds, I think he should reflect on some of the things he posts, because some of them clearly are just absurd. Because for me, I wouldn't support torture of citizens, irrespective of what they have done. We have court systems where these citizens can be arrested, not illegally arresting people, subjecting them to issues of torture. Whether, we are in a digital age. So social media is a big tool for politics. And General Muhoozi, from his perspective, we know he's the chairman of PLU. We know he's angling for the presidency. And I can state without fear of contradiction that Muhoozi is going to be president of this country. Because everything, like we're seeing, the progression is that he's preparing himself for the presidency. And he's going to be president unless something happens and it stops him. Now, the buck stops with the president. Our appeal is to the CDF, to General Muhoozi, and to the president, because the buck stops with him. If you remember, I think the 48th birthday of General Muhoozi, I remember clearly President Kagame cautioning him on the kind of posts he makes. Perhaps he didn't take heed, perhaps the president didn't take heed, but he was very clear on that, because some of those tweets really, they cause problems like the diplomats were raising. Because you talk about arresting and deporting diplomats, attacking the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, and things like that. Some of those things really cross the line. And the people around General Muhoozi, Andrew Mwenda, Ambassador Katunji, their ministers actually like Balam, who are, you're a minister. He's the minister for the youth. But in as much as he holds a responsibility, and as citizens and as members of the party, actually, for the Yerus, we hold them to account for some of their actions. Because you can't be, what do you do when you're meeting General Muhoozi, for instance, Lilian Abels, all those ministers? When you meet him, why don't you guide him? Because Muhoozi, like I've said, is not perfect. He needs guidance. He's a leader who is growing, and like I've said, it doesn't matter, because we've seen Biden becoming president at 70.
Let's stop for a break, and then after the break, I'll get you to conclude on that.
All right.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
What's the secret sound?
I don't know. What's that sound?
That's right. It's the secret sound on Capital FM.
What could that sound?
What is it?
Your chance to win big money just by guessing the sound.
What could it be?
What could it be?
Every Monday to Friday, we'll play a super secret sound, but it's up to you to figure out what it is. Think you've got a sharp ear? Call in, and if you guess right, you win lots of money. Remember, the secret sound is waiting to be unlocked. The secret sound. Tune in every day to Capital FM. Fresh hits and throwbacks.
Did you know that condoms are up to 95% effective in preventing unplanned pregnancies and STIs, including HIV, when used correctly? Young women aged 15 to 24 are now more likely to have STIs, with about 26% affected, much higher than their male counterparts. In rural areas, almost half of the adults with STIs did not seek for clinical treatment. Having multiple sexual partners and not using condoms regularly increases the risk of STIs and HIV. Making condoms accessible and more affordable is the key to end HIV by 2030. Let's celebrate condoms by being a simple but powerful way to stay safe. We remind people at the risk of HIV infections that condoms, once used correctly and consistently, prevent HIV, STIs, and unwanted pregnancies. Just use it. This message is brought to you by AHF Uganda Cares.
Add a fresh flavor to your energy. Grab a bottle of the new Predator Mango Mayhem today and taste the freshness of energy drink. Predator is the new energy drink partner of Chelsea Football Club. Predator, rule your kingdom.
The Capital Gang on 91.3 Capital FM.
We'll come back from the break. Michael Byakagaba, you were concluding.
Oh, yes. So our appeal is to the CDF. And yes, the team around, his closest friends, by the way, Honorable Balam Barugahara, Liliana Bear, and that whole team.
There's a saying, people are saying, who is your Balam? Everyone,
oh yeah,
everyone needs a Balam.
Yes, you can. You see, you can defend and fight for someone without crossing the line. As a good friend, we need to give guidance to some of our leaders. Every leader needs guidance. So there's no leader who is perfect. Even Museveni, in as much as he's been in power for a long time, he's not a perfect man. There are things where he falls short, and that's why he has advisors. So the buck stops with the president. We are appealing to the president.
Okay.
In as much as
let's go to Honorable Semuju. Thank you.
All right.
Semuju is going to spoil.
No, finally the lawyer has spoken as a citizen. Because you see, these things are going to affect everybody. I remember when Kaiura was torturing people in Narufenya. The day he tortured that NRM chairman from Bunyoro. Yeah. Now people knew that nobody was safe. You see, the Uganda people will take it upon the way it is, not the way it ought. Because we are under family rule. Under family rule, nobody will go to... In fact, if you ask children on the street, if they even know the Minister for Foreign Affairs, they will struggle. Because they know this country is run by Museveni, his brother, and his other family members. If you want something solved, you will go to them. I remember, even before I became a politician, sometime in 2000 something, the Honorable Nusrat Peru was either NRM used something when she was a youth MP. Youth in Mitiana wanted to meet General Sale, and Chiperu wanted to take Chigongo. They said, no, we don't want Chigongo, we want Sale. Because they know with the Sale things will work. So the diplomats are not stupid, that they will go and meet a protocol officer. They know who is in charge, not even of himself. They will go to people, because if you want Mohoze either to speak to him or to stop him, he has said it himself, either it is his father or his uncle. That's the hierarchy. Even when he is appointed or is promoted, it is his uncle Saleh. I told you he came dressed like he was going to milk cows to preside over the Muhozi's peeping ceremony and inauguration.
Sometimes you want to make a good point and then you spoil it.
No, that was important.
You could say he was not dressed in uniform.
No, that was important. But Saleh has come here. I have told him these things when he was here, the way he dresses. So it is his uncle who must preside over. So the whole government has been over, because ordinarily someone should walk to the Prime Minister. I remember when Tumukunde refused to vacate office when he had been removed. That time you had a semblance of government. The president sent there Professor Nsibambi and Tinyefuza Tiyefuza, of course, said he'll go on Katere. He wanted to beat him. But Insibabi said, no, we can handle it differently. Because at least you are the prime minister who was fairly respected, and the president would allow him to go and do some government work. But just imagine walking into Nabanja that you have come to report that you have come to... No, I'm not the only one. That's why the diplomats went to Sare, who holds almost no office in the government. In fact, even when you read the Oscar, because the requirement under the law, that government departments, as they bring their budgets in parliament, they will bring a list of human resource. Now Saleh is no longer on the list of presidential advisors. They omitted him this year. So he's not even a presidential advisor, at least by law, because we approve them every year. But he's a co-president. That's why the ministers will go, the speakers, because you are faulting the colonialists, the children of colonialists. But the entire government goes to Guru, from Arupo, the vice president, to Nabanja, to Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, to everybody. So if you can't access the president, then you go to the co-president. Now, I don't know whether the son is the prime minister, because he can also... We are effectively under family rule. You can pretend about it Opondo. You can choose to say nothing by blaming history. That's where you are. Even when you yourself come to Parliament. The other day, MPs summoned the Mohos. Said those crowns will come and arrest you. The chairperson of Human Rights Commission ordered him to release under the Constitution. He said that woman never sent me these bogus letters. That's how he described the letter from the chairman of Human Rights Commission. So that's where we are. People can pretend the government has disintegrated. There is no government now. So you just look for portions where it exists. Saleh, Oscar... Even in the budget, they have budget lines. Now they have put money for Saleh, 20 billion under Operation Wealth Creation, 60 billion under what? So yeah, that's where we are. We can pretend, but that pretense will help nobody. I remember when you were complaining here, the day they arrested your driver by not following the due process. But at least you complained publicly. You came here to Capital Gang and complain. I would rather go to Saleh than Capital Gang.
I can tell the listeners that I actually complained to the police authority at the highest level, General Kaihura. It was when it was persistent. Then I said, no, you Kaihura, we have talked, and this man is not getting released, not getting to court. That's why I used this, because we use this platform
exactly
to raise things where people have closed their ears.
Yeah, so
authorities have closed their ears.
sometimes you may not go to the formal channels, because the formal channels have been overthrown. Because ordinarily, if you want to campaign against the CDF, you should raise the minister responsible for defense. When General David Mohos, former CDF, told the parliament that when security people are arresting people, they must identify themselves, what was the response from Mohos? When I asked the Minister of Defense to explain the circumstances under which they are deployed soldiers in South Sudan, what did the Majezi, who speaks for Mohos, say? Said that minister, you are just our representative in the parliament. These things you don't know, they don't concern you. So often you no longer have a government. That's where we are. You can pretend.
No, Oscar, you see,
let me allow you 2 sentences to conclude this one, because I
don't think it is fair to say money allocated to OWCs or allocated to General Saleh. No, General Saleh runs OWC as a program of... No.
I am an MP, please.
Which I agree.
Just around.
No.
We have budget lines and codes and procurement
and I am your resident in Chira, so I also
that
want
doesn't
my
make
MP
you an MP.
It doesn't,
yes.
But it leaves me with the option, so my MP should speak facts.
The facts are in Parliament. They are not in NRMU.
So, Honorable Semuju, where in the budget is General Saleh mentioned? Since you are an MP.
We pass a budget when you produce a recruitment plan, procurement, work plan.
Where is he mentioned?
Code.
Is he mentioned?
Is he not the head of operation?
Which is what I am saying. So yes. The money is for the program.
There is no program. I'm telling you, it is not there.
Honorable Semuju, with respect,
let him speak.
If I were to have a time, there are no beneficiaries of OWC in Chira municipality. But if you are to move around, if you are to move around,
continue, Jacob.
Perhaps I am just going to leave it at that. But respectfully, it would be good to also think about the beneficiaries. While you are saying 20 billion is for General Salim Saleh, yet there is a list of beneficiaries that are verifiable. So I do not want to go there, but there are so many things that money does that I'm sure you can find out from General Sally. So let's, as the head of the program, so let me proceed and just say the other thing that for me is a bit of a disturbing thing. Yes, it is true that there are very many members of one family in government, but there are very many members of very many families in government. It's not just President Museveni's family that is in government. Semuju is in government. We don't know where Semuju's relatives are working. So this non-disclosure for others does not mean that there's only one. Perhaps which merits concern for across the board is to say, if all power is vested in one family, then we would have an issue. But when Semujus are discussing the budget, they change things whenever they want, and they are the ones with the power to appropriate. He has told you here that MPs are the ones that decide. If it was that it is not that way, then we would say, okay, maybe there's a problem. But there are processes, and that's why General Mohozi can disagree on Twitter but not have his way on the floor.
We leave it at that. Honorable Semoju, I'm now going to switch on your microphone. Tunduliso.
To pretend there's that.
We've had Tunduliso was brought to court.
Yeah.
Again, surrounded. You know, it's interesting. They bring him to court same time as Besigye brought to court. And then we have our Agatha here, who was also abducted and thrown back into Uganda. Besigye's lawyer was denied entry into Tanzania. And Uganda, you know, you have to commend Uganda because Uganda allowed that Kenyan lawyer to be Besigye's lead lawyer. So,
you see, Tanzania is different from Uganda. Tanzania more or less is like Zimbabwe. I'm not even sure that Suluhu has full control or she has gained it. Magufuli had some control over the state, but the state of Tanzania behaves like that. It suffers from paranoid. And Tanzanians, every meeting I have attended, Tanzanians are not comfortable with Kenya, whether it is a meeting of journalists or not. I'm one time we were in Nairobi during a meeting of editors forum. We are unable to constitute a leadership because Tanzanians said these Kenyans are not respecting us. And the meeting, so there always be issues between Tanzania and Kenya. But I had thought when Suluhu announced some of reforms, my thinking was that the system had accepted them. Because in Tanzania, almost, so you compete the same way you compete with Museveni in Uganda. They set the standards. You will compete against us this way. So if you don't live within those standards, you are in trouble. The only difference is that in Uganda there are things Museveni will allow, maybe because he's a military man himself, and he knows where to stop. So he will allow a few things for public relations, but the approach is not different. After all, he admires Tanzania. But for me, what excites me is that the East African now, you are people who can move and follow up cases of repression in Tanzania, in Uganda. So Museveni wanted us to take us to East African community. I think we are moving along with him. So let him welcome everybody. Let Tanzania, I highly doubt, because even just working in Tanzania, I have relatives who were working in Tanzania. When Magufuli came, they were chased. I remember the first time I landed in Tanzania, the stamp that was put in my passport is that you're not allowed to work here. But they said we are East African. So Tanzania is a different ball game. And it's unfortunate, but I want to commend those who went there. Because under Magufuli, the opposition leader nearly had almost been killed. He just survived by...
Probably they wouldn't have gone.
You can't. Under Magufuli, it was very difficult. So that's Tanzania. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. It's a very conservative system, but it is still a system You don't need to go and visit Suluhu's husband or Suluhu's sister-in-law. They are still institutionally constituted, but of course conservative and very repressive.
Opondo. The Charles Onyango says, tragically, Atware would likely have faced similar or worse treatment in Uganda, possibly reappearing with her head shaved, limbs broken, face battered after detention in a senior security officer's basement.
Why is Onyango talking in tongues? Is he a coward? Now,
you know him more than us.
Yeah, I think there's enough human rights work to do here that personally I don't see
why colonialists should go to Tanzania.
No, yeah, these are I think they are busybodies, but also this one way they generate money.
You know the way always put it. There's enough what human rights work to do here.
Yes, there's enough advocacy work to do here in Uganda. You don't need to go to Tanzania, but you see, I think the work of Uganda, we had done exposure that this is how this, because ask all these activists, how do they raise money? Do they sell cows? Do they sell chicken?
They raise money the same way government raises money.
Do they sell Matoka to do this work? Somebody is paying.
The same way they pay government.
The government of Uganda raises much of its money through taxation. Even when we borrow, when we borrow,
let me switch off your
pegged to our ability to pay, to raise the revenue from taxation. So, Honorable Assembly, that's how we raise much of our money. Yes, somebody can give us some bits here and there, yes, but we raise the taxation through taxation. So, and selling our goods and services. But these people are really, these are all antics for raising money. And so that's why they go to Tanzania. They keep hopping from different countries to different countries. There's a lot of work to do here that they don't need to go for Tindu this or there in Tanzania. And I am glad they were shown the treatment they truly deserve.
Tanzania, as an East African.
Future MP. I hope that you will not repeat those things. Jacob Bayer.
Thank you. You know, I am going to. This one doesn't have an NRM matter in it. I just think that it should not be criminal to attend court cases.
I like the way you introduce it, because it doesn't have an NRM matter on it. You can speak from the heart.
No. What I'm saying is
that you can speak from the heart.
If I disagree with Fodo, it should not be seen as if we have left the party.
Yeah.
No. There's no, that's a low blow. But I don't think it should be criminal to attend court cases. The only challenge, and I think with the Tanzanian system, is that Tanzania's political space is very controlled. What people enjoy here in Uganda is very different from what is alive in Tanzania. And some people might not know how free people are in Uganda until they move out.
Until they are in the basement.
No, until they move just within our region here. Oscar, I'd like to just say, my experience 2017 when we went to Zimbabwe, when we landed, the team that received us told us, yes, you've come here, you are politically astute young people, but please keep the president out of your mouth. Let's talk about other issues politically, but let's not discuss the presidency. Here, Honorable Semuju and his ilk can abuse President Museveni